What's up, world changers? My name is Cameron, and welcome to Kids Civics, the show for kids who want to make a difference in the world. I don't know about you, but I want to make my mark in this world. I love reading books about extraordinary people who did just that. Have you heard of the women's rights movement? It was led by a lot of amazing women like Carrie Chapman Catt, Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Helen Keller, and my personal favorite, Alice Paul. When people in powerful positions refused to change the Constitution to give women the right to vote, Alice refused to take no for an answer. She created the National Women's Party and organized protests at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington, D.C. Yup, that's the White House. From morning until evening every day, in rain, snow, wind, sleet, or sunshine, women held signs demanding the right to vote. Do you think the president and other people in power wanted to shut them down? You bet they did! But these women had the First Amendment on their side. You see, the Founding Fathers knew you can't change the world without the ability to speak your mind. We call this freedom of expression, and it is essential to our democracy. Remember, that's the kind of government in which the people have the final say over the laws. The First Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, which spells out some important things the government cannot do. Yep, you heard that right. The Constitution makes some things illegal for the government. For example, the First Amendment tells the government that it cannot punish someone for speaking their mind, for joining together with other citizens, for contacting their lawmakers with concerns, for practicing their religion, or for publishing and distributing materials. Alice Paul and the women's suffragists, people fighting for the right to vote, spoke out about the ways the government was being unfair and unjust. Not only did they speak, but they knocked on the doors of members of Congress and recruited other men and women to join their cause. They wanted everyone to know it was not okay to deny women the right to vote. The First Amendment protected their freedom to do all these activities, even when they made a lot of people mad. In fact, freedom of speech protects your right to criticize the government, especially when those in power don't want to hear it. However, it is also important to know that there are some limits. The First Amendment does not give you the right to go around saying whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want, and as loud as you want to say it. For example, according to Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, you could be punished for saying things that will put other people in danger, like falsely sounding fire in a crowded movie theater. And your speech may be limited to protect someone else's right to speak. For example, in your class, there may be a rule that you have to raise your hand so that everyone has a fair chance to speak. The Supreme Court, whose job is to interpret the First Amendment, ruled that speech may be restricted in its time, place, and manner. For example, your school doesn't have to let you run through the hallways shouting how much you love Taylor Swift while class is in session. So, as someone who wants to make a difference in the world, it's good to know that the First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Oh, by the way, in 1920, Alice Paul and her National Women's Party celebrated getting the 19th Amendment added to the Constitution, once and for all, giving women the right to vote. And here's a fun fact. In recent national elections, more women than men in the United States exercised this right. And this change was possible because of freedom of expression protected by the First Amendment.